let's talk about the Super Bowl. Let's just get that out the way. All right, Philadelphia and Kansas City. You should have a smile on your face.
I was just so indifferent about the game.
You would think that you would be like,
You took Kansas City, correct?
yes,
You did. Yeah, I'm just putting it out there.
yes,
Just putting it out there.
just I took Kansas City.
I knew from the opening snap that the Eagles were going to win that game. Mahomes was off, no catches, no receptions for Kelsey in the first half.
Yeah, he was terrible.
I've been saying it all year. The Chiefs were a team that I didn't think was going to get anywhere, and yet here they are. And well,
I disagree that they were not a good team. I just think they ran the length of their rope.
Do you disagree that they got lucky at times this year? And then if certain things had gone the other way, they wouldn't have been 15-2?
I think lucky is predicated on the amount of work that you put in and you making your own breaks. Because we have to remember, when the Patriots were winning, everyone said they were lucky. I know I'm going back 20-something years. When you were like 6 years old, I think, maybe you were 5 years old. But one of the common threads after they won the first one was they're lucky. And even when they didn't win the Super Bowl, a lot of those years they had very good years. We would hear the Patriots are lucky or they cheat, and it's very hard to be lucky all the time. So I don't think luck has as much to do with it as the team pulling it out the end. And I think they ran out of rope.
So let me ask this question.
Okay.
Had Buffalo or Baltimore, I'm certainly not going to put Pittsburgh or Houston in that category,
Right.
but I will put a team that wasn't in the playoffs that I do believe that was,
go.
if they had made the playoffs, they would have made a run, and you know who I'm talking about, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals, of course. Now, had teams like those been in the position of Kansas City and gone to the Super Bowl as the AFC champions, would we have seen a different outcome? Not necessarily them winning, perhaps winning, but having a much closer game than Kansas City did.
I think the Bengals would have had a better game. I think they're predicated on blocking more, and you really would have to do that because the Eagles' defense was much like the New York Giants' defense of 2007.
Mm-hmm.
They were overwhelming. They got after Mahomes the way that the Giants got after Brady. I mean, the ball was snapped and they were in the backfield. Brady got hammered that game the same way Mahomes got hammered in this game. But I think the Bengals' offensive line would have held up better, and so they would have had a better chance against the team than anybody else.
Mahomes just looked to me, the word that sticks out is lost. He just looked lost out there, not his usual self. And it's not like they were facing much distractions, leading up to the game.
No.
Everybody expected them to be there, and well, I should say everybody expected. I think a lot of people did, and here they are, and expect them to come out and play like they usually have been in recent Super Bowls that they've been to, with the exception of the one against Tom Brady and Tampa Bay a couple of years ago.
The Eagles beat the pants off them. The defense.
Yeah, let me say this on the Eagles. We talked about them last week a little bit in depth, but the storyline, Clay, in the NFC this year was really two teams. It was the Lions and the Vikings, and that's who everybody talked about. And then you talked about the Commanders, with Jaden Daniels.
Oh yeah.
And the good play there. But other than that, the Eagles are a very underrated team. This is a 14-3 team. This is a team that nobody really talked about outside of Philly throughout the year. Obviously the mention of and the talk of Saquon Barkley and breaking the rushing record, but other than that, it was all Detroit, Minnesota. The two Titans going to clash for the NFC North title, and one of these teams is going to make the Super Bowl. Well,
yeah, they went
that
under
didn't
the
happen.
Wire. Yeah, nobody knows them.
And really nobody talked about, unless I was completely oblivious to it, we didn't really talk about the Eagles as much this year. I mean, we picked them in most games, and they had a great regular season. And I think Saquon Barkley joining that team was a huge benefit. He didn't do much. He didn't do much in the game in this past Super Bowl. And I think the air attack through Jaden Daniels and the Eagles helped Kellen Moore. And Kellen Moore, of course, now being hired as the new head coach of the New Orleans Saints as well, and threw for 221 yards. And he threw some long balls too. He looked pretty good.
They were getting behind. The Kansas City defense. But I want to point out that Philadelphia kind of spoiled it last year for anybody having expectations of it, because I believe they went 10-0 or 11-0, and then just fell off the cliff. So
correct.
the wonderment was, are they going to do it again? I mean, they're starting off good, they're looking good, but are they going to fall into the ocean again like they did last year? So expectations were off, but they managed to sustain their performance for the whole year. As a matter of fact, they got better toward the end of the year. So that being said, that's the reason why they were under the radar, as they say. Yes, they were under the radar.
They were all year. They really were all year. So I wasn't surprised by it. It's too bad we didn't really get to see a close game. I think a lot of people were maybe expecting that. In the past, ever since I just mentioned the last game that really wasn't a blowout was the Kansas City Tampa Bay game from a couple of years ago.